Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today in episode 175, I'm very happy to bring on my special guest, Jimmy Blanchette. Jimmy Blanchette is a scientist, researcher, and experiencer who developed a technique to make contact with non-human intelligences using radio waves. His technique has been successfully employed by experiencers worldwide since 2017. In February of 2021, Jimmy came out publicly for the first time to share this important information with the world. Shortly after, he released a documentary about his story and successful contacts made by other experiencers who have been using Jimmy's first contact protocol, which he carefully adapted for the general public. Below you will find the link to his video documentary, which is available for free. Most recently, Jimmy's work and contacts with universal intelligences led to discoveries which may have a profound impact on our understanding of physics and how the universe works. Jimmy also shows how the sacred knowledge has been encoded in many ancient sacred sites around the world, including the pyramids of Giza. Since his initial release, Jimmy has been on several internet platforms and radio shows to share this important information with the world. To find out more about Jimmy Blanchette and his important work, the links are featured below in the description. Thank you for subscribing. Leave me a comment and smash that like button. Today, we will discuss the first contact protocol and the discoveries which have a profound impact on our understanding of physics. Jimmy, welcome to the Quantum Guide Show. How are you today? Are you muted, Jimmy? I have no volume.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh,
Hello,
there
Karen.
you are.
Thank you
That's
so much
all good.
for. Can you hear me well now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for inviting me on your show. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, my pleasure. I've been following you now for a couple of years, and I'm just fascinated by your work. A long time ago, I've never had a amateur ham license because I could never seem to get the Morse code down pat. But I used to actually shoot skip
Hmm.
with an old Helicrafter CB3A and a quarter wave ground plane on my roof. That's about the closest I got, but nothing compared to what you're doing. Do you want to tell folks how you got started in all this?
Oh yeah, this is a long story, and I have actually a slideshow. I can go through it if you wish. I do have a slideshow to go through that. So
Sure.
let me share my slides, and all right, let's make this work. Okay, are you able to bring the slideshow on the screen?
Um,
Here we go. Perfect. Excellent.
Perfect.
Very good. So, well, I didn't know you were also an old practitioner of radio communication. This is a very fun hobby, and actually, I mean, one of my key messages throughout this presentation is that one does not need to have a very large installation or anything sophisticated, to make contact, and just consciousness is enough anyway, right? So, what we're going to talk about, some of the technical stuff, is more an aid, right? A technological aid, but very effective. It's very effective. I've had good experience with it, so we can go through that. So let me. Here we go. So yeah, you asked me the question how I got started with this. I've had a lifelong passion of building antenna systems since I'm a teenager. Really, I passed my amateur radio license really at an early age, and one of the things I like to do was to build antennas, which I've been doing for many years. And what we see here on the right side is my old setup when I used to live in California, Ventura, California. See this very large antenna system on a rooftop. A lot of neighbors were just walking by and looking at it, and I was spending many hours on the roof also to to tune it. And so this was an antenna system to do moon bounce communication. And we see on the left side is my most recent setup in Arizona. I live near Sedona, Arizona. And really, what got me into this, I mean, all my life I've been, um, fascinated by the universe, astrophysics, astronomy, things like that. And I always felt very connected. And I was always a believer that we were not alone. Obviously, it didn't make sense to think that we were alone. Anyway, fast forward 2013, I got interested in a contact modality called moon bounce communication, which is an amateur radio technique, very exotic technique, really, which consists in bouncing radio waves off the surface of the moon, essentially using the moon as a passive reflector. And so I had never heard about it before. When I saw it on the internet, I said, wow, that looks interesting. So I started digging into this, and I said, wow, that's amazing. And like I like technical challenges, I said I need absolutely to try this. It's too cool, right? So I started building antennas, a very small antenna system to try this contact modality. And typically requires a very large antenna system, very powerful antenna system, a lot of power, obviously, and a lot of very sophisticated electronic equipment to detect the signal coming back from the moon. Because really, when you bounce radio wave of the moon, the signal coming back is so weak that you cannot even hear the signal. And it's not for voice communication, it's really for more digital communication, using computer. So but the computer is able to detect and pick up the background in the background noise, pick up the signal that's coming back from the moon. It's quite remarkable. So I that's how I built essentially a very large antenna system, and which was published actually in a European magazine back in 2016. I call it, or we see it on the left here, it's called a triangular array rotatable polarity antenna system. And I had the opportunity to write a couple of scientific papers about it. So anyway, then fast forward, a year later, in early 2017, I had heard about C5, called human initiated contact, for quite some time. And I had seen videos on the internet, and I found it, quite amazing. And so in that time period of the year, I had a bit more free time on my hands. So I decided, I said, why not, try this C5? I became very interested into it. And since I had all this very large radio station, which I was using to do moon bounce communication with other radio stations all over the world, I said, why not use this capability to transmit, a message out there in the space, and a message that will contain, like an invitation message, right? Contain my coordinates, where I will be on a given night with a time and date, like an appointment, if you will. And I was just doing this for fun, to be honest. I was really not expecting anything to happen. So so this is what I did. So I ended up developing my own binary code message, which contained this kind of invitation. And I had located a very nice place, very deep in Rose Valley, California, very far from human installations, with no cell signals, no interference. It was deep, far from the city, which was ideal to do C5. And at the time, I intended to put together a small group, to do this contact work, because typically people doing C5 do it, with a group. So that was my intent, and I had located this site near a lake in Rose Valley, California. And I said, okay, I'm just going to go screen that site and to make sure it's going to be appropriate for future contact work. Right, that was my intent. So the date that I had set was May 1st, 2000. It was May 1st, 2017. So in a few days prior to that, I created that message, which I broadcasted with my large radio station. So what I have on the screen here is actually I do have the audio of that message that I can share. just to show to your audience here what the message looks like or sounded like. So let me share that screen as well. Okay, so give me 1 second. Hopefully we can make it work here. Binary code. Okay, so I think you may have to bring it up from your end. Okay, and so I'm going to play it here. Okay, so I'm going to play it now. Let me know. Make sure if you don't hear the sound, let me know. But it should play. It should play fine. So here we go. So this is how the binary code message sounded like, and what you see on the screen also, there are different tracks. So each sentence of the invitation message was encoded at a different solfeggio frequency. So we see this little frequency here, 639 hertz, 528, 417s. They're different solfeggio frequencies. So each of the sentence was encoded at a different solfeggio frequency. So it was like an invitation message sounded like music, right? So here we go. Right, you could hear it.
Yes, excellent.
Very good, very good. So this is the message that I broadcasted. I'm going to bring back the slides. So this is the message that I broadcasted in the days prior to going to this site. So on May 1st, 2017, then I did, as my appointment was stating, I just drove with my car alone. I was by myself with nobody else, and just going there essentially just again to screen that site. So I got to the site. Again, it was near a very nice lake, and I had brought with me a small handheld radio that had tuned to the same frequency that I had used to broadcast the message. And I sat down, in a chair, just relaxed, 15, 20 minutes. And I set my little handheld radio on the rooftop of my car. And again, maybe 15, 20 minutes after arrival, the radio started interacting and started going on and off in a way that I had never seen before, because I had been using this radio to do, satellite communication and amateur radio, right? And this radio was just going crazy for no reason. And actually, I got annoyed at the moment. I said, what's going on with that radio, right? Here I was trying to relax, and this radio was going off and making all this noise, and I didn't make the connection, to be honest. At the moment, I just didn't make the connection. So I have also a video of that interaction with the radio. So let me play it, if that's okay, so I can see here. Okay, I'm gonna have to open it with Internet Explorer. I need to create a shortcut, that's why. So just give me 1 second. View tab, okay. They don't make it easy on StreamYard to broadcast or to show the videos. I'm not used to the system, so I apologize if I'm a bit slow.
Oh, no, it's all good. It's all good. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so excited about your message and the implications, Jimmy. The implications are just huge.
Yeah, this is even to me, it's been a life-changing experience, and I it's still ongoing, as you probably know. So okay, so I'm trying to share this video. Give me one second here. Okay.
I'll just take a minute to tell everybody. So in the links below this video, in the description, is the link to Jimmy's documentary, and it's fascinating. I highly recommend that you watch it. It will blow your mind. It will blow your mind. I should say your minds. I guess there's more than one person out there.
Okay, so I'm yeah, I'm trying to create the link here, and for some reason it's not opening the file.
Maybe we
I
need to close the file that's up from the first.
Yeah, maybe let me do this. Let me do
Yeah,
this. Yeah, like this. All right. All right, and so and try again. So normally I should be able to open it in the browser. That's what StreamYard requires, to open it in a tab on Braveyard. So okay, so I'm just going to create the shortcut here. I think I'm gonna make it work now. Right. So give me 1 second.
sure.
Okay. All right. So I think yeah, this is it's not letting me share for some reason. So
Maybe I'm wondering if you need to remove the one that you already have up. This one here. Maybe you need to remove that one.
yeah, okay, yeah, I can stop screen there.
There. Okay,
All
now you
right.
should be able to share something new.
Yeah. So let me try here. Present, share screen. Okay. Yeah, I think it's gonna work now. So okay, we're gonna make it
It
work.
was here and then it disappeared.
Yeah. So I'm activated the sound. So I'm sharing now the entire screen with the
Okay,
sound. I just need to clear the sound. Now it should work out. All right. So I think you need to bring it up on your end.
there we go. How's
Perfect.
that?
Okay. Okay. All right. Now it's gonna work.
Okay.
Okay. So so this is what happened. So I apologize for the delay here, but this is what happened. I at that site essentially, and that interaction took place on the same frequency that I used to broadcast the message again, right? So let me play it, and hopefully the sound works out.
It's 2:16 in the morning. The radio is very active right
Can you
now.
hear the sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how they communicate back to you, letting you know they received your message.
Right. So this was essentially really a reply to my invitation message, and as I mentioned, I had, I didn't at the moment when that interaction took place. I just didn't realize, it was going on. So I got a bit annoyed, and I said, okay. Anyway, I had found that site for future contact work, and I took my radio with me and just packed everything back up and went back home. Did not realize that this was actually the reply to my own invitation, right? So in the following days, I was intrigued. I was still trying to understand why the radio behaved that way. Because I was in the middle of nowhere, so there was no reason why the radio should have behaved this way, right? If you're far from everything, there was no cell signal, you're so deep. I was trying to understand what was going on, and then I saw online that often when you do C5, the intelligence may interact with the electronic equipment, right? Some bring magnetometers and things like that. So I say, that's interesting. And so what I did during that week, in the following days, while I was home, I kept the radio on my belt. I clipped it on my belt, I said, if it's an interference or something, that triggers this interaction, this should happen while I'm in the city, right? Well, there's all kind of interferences. So I kept the radio on, on me, went to the bank, went to the grocery store, nothing happened. The radio was completely silent. So so that was interesting. So that was more data points, right? So in the following days, I ended up doing the same thing. I said, I'm just going to go back to that site. So I did the same protocol. I broadcasted the invitation message with a new date, of course, and time, same coordinates, same location. So I drove back there with my car. This time I was with a friend. And so uh, we went to the site, got set up, and a few minutes after arrival, the very same thing happened again. The radio started behaving the same way that it did in the prior days on the day of my first contact. Then I said, holy cow, right? Then I connected the dots. I said, this is really a reply to my own invitation message. And, during that evening with my friend, um, it was clear the interaction was ongoing, and it felt like there was an intelligence behind the interactions, because we were asking questions and the radio was like answering. It was just very strange type of experience. Really, it seemed like there was, clearly an intelligence behind the end interaction. So this is how my story started. This is how I got started with this, this contact modality. Uh, a bit by accident in a sense, but it was, intended in the sense that I broadcasted these messages, but I didn't think that there would be any kind of reply, obviously. So in the following days, I ended up buying a night vision camera, and I went back to that site, and with the group, it didn't work out really, because the C5 group people didn't show up and didn't reply. So I ended up just doing it alone. It became a very personal experience from that point on, and I was going back to that site very, very frequently, almost every weekend. And I started having sightings, very high strangeness around me, and just lighting up the forest right in front of me at some point. So there was all kind of experiences going on there. And so this is how it started. So I do have more slides here, obviously. So let me go back to the slideshow.
What I thought was interesting from the documentary was that you would have 3 different radios all set to the same frequency, and yet they would each one react completely differently, which goes against the laws of physics, which proves that obviously something intelligent was communicating back to you. And it's so amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I have a video here. Let me play it while you're talking about this, actually. So this is perfect timing. So let's try to share again. So I'm going to share my entire screen. You're going to have to bring it up on your end.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. So what we're going to see is actually a a broadcast that I made to the Galactic Federation. And I'm not sure why I'm not seeing my video here, but that's all right. So this is a transmission I made to the Galactic Federation, and immediately after the transmission, I had 3 radios that were set to the same frequency, just like you mentioned, and the intelligence was able to control each of the radio individually, while the radios were all set the same frequency. They were identical radios, right? Obviously, this breaks the laws of physics, because if we listen to, let's say, a radio station, the same or tuned to the same frequency, the 3 radios should hear the same radio station, right? Should play the same radio station. And what we see here is very different. The radios are behaving completely differently, and which breaks the laws of physics. So let me play the video here.
Wow. Jimmy, I want to ask you a question from one of the people in the live chat. Don Rogers at March 4th Productions asked if you have ever thought to slow that down and compare what you hear with Morse code. Have you ever tried to interpret the blips and the clicks on the radio? Oh, you're muted, Jimmy.
So yes, I was mentioning, yes, I've done a lot of work to look to see if there was any messages behind this. And this is not Morse code. I just want to make clear because I know Morse code. I am an expert in Morse
Yeah.
code, and so this has nothing to do with Morse code. And what I realize actually is that these um, interactions through the radios have nothing to do with let me bring this back here. So they have nothing to do with radio waves. So what what triggers the radios are not radio waves. It's some other form of energy that we don't understand. Because I can put, for instance, the radio in a Faraday cage or a microwave, which is a Faraday cage, right? So which does not let any radio wave go in or out, and the interaction is still going to keep going, right? So, or with some energy signature, I can literally just disconnect the antenna, take out the antenna completely, and the interaction is still going. So I've done a lot of technical tests because I have all the, obviously, because I'm amateur radio, I have all the technology and testing equipment here to test these things. And it became very clear very quickly that these interactions are not radio waves. They are some other form of energy. And that's where things really get interesting, because it's something else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they may, this energy really may contain, and I'm speculating here, obviously, but from my experience, this energy may contain information that's encoded in a form of energy that's just uploaded in our consciousness, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And in the form of inspiration or and things like that. And the work that I'm doing today, I think may be influenced by that in some ways. Also, this energy may contains, or this energy may be for healing purposes, because I've had my own healing experiences. I've had back pain, for instance. I had lower back pain throughout my life because I played ice hockey and French Canadian. That's where my accent is coming from. So I played a lot
Oh,
of ice
yeah.
hockey and damaged my lower back when I was young, and I had some episodes of back pain. And at one night I was in real pain in one evening, and I transmitted in Morse code with my radio, like a message to ask for healing, for help, to try to release me from that pain. And during that night, the night that followed, I had a lot of sweatings, a very agitated night. But anyway, when I woke up the next day, the pain was completely gone. So, and I know
Wow.
other experiencers who've had this type of experiences, a healing experience, and so and this goes to the larger team of human initiated contact too. It's not all because of radio, obviously. It's because of you make contact in the first place with these intelligences. You're opening the door to a world that is beyond our imagination in a sense, right? We're not used to deal with that aspect, which is totally natural. I mean, it's something that has been clearly suppressed, and it's a gift. I think that it's something that anyone can access. It's available, and it's just a matter to trying it, and make taking the steps to make contact. And so actually, the next slide shows this, that the purpose of this contact modality, which is again the radio is just a technological aid, right? It's nice because it gives you an interface where you see if the intelligence is interacting with you, right? The radio is kind of
Yeah.
behaving in a way that's going to let you know they're there, right? But you don't need a
Mhm.
radio to do it, right? People just do C5 with meditation, and there are different ways to do it. Obviously, whichever way people are comfortable with is fine, right? It's all about making contact, whatever way you do it. That's the way I ended up, initiating contact in my first days, and I kept doing it that way. And so it's been a very transformative experience. One day, actually, in 2019, and it was in March 2019, I broadcasted a message in which I was asking the intelligence to induce an out of body experience, because I've had out of body experience, since childhood. So in that message, I requested, if it was safe and appropriate to for the intelligence to induce an out of body experience on that. Again, I give it my coordinates and all that. So at 9 o'clock at night, so I broadcasted this message with my large radio station, throughout the solar system, really. And it was maybe in the afternoon. And so at 9 o'clock at night, I was in my bedroom. I was fully awake and aware. My eyes were open, like we're now, not sleeping, just sitting on my bed. And all of a sudden, I was just taken out of my body. I mean, my energy body was extracted from my physical body. And in that message, I had requested that I keep a physical memory of the experience. And so I very much remember all the experience of that happening. So they essentially acknowledged and acted upon this request very specifically, and that was another very powerful confirmation to me that these messages are decoded and they are acted upon. If it is safe and appropriate, obviously they are acted upon very specifically. So it's a very powerful, it's a very powerful modality. And I've also, since 2017, broadcasted messages on behalf of many other experiencers who wanted to make contact. And I still, today, I still do it. I don't charge money for this. It's free, obviously. I do it for the passion of it and to help contact teams across the world to do this work. And so they send me their message they want to broadcast for their, let's say, C5 contact event that they hold at a certain date and time with the coordinates. So I package that, I encode that, and I broadcast that for them on their behalf. And I still do it as of today. And also I broadcasted, and by the way, these teams have always reported extraordinary experiences, right? And again, it's not necessarily because I broadcasted of the radio, because C5 you can do it without radio, but it's just an aid, right? It just helps when you get your message, broadcasted throughout the solar system, right? You can expect that some intelligence will pick it up, right? That's for sure. So, and also I broadcasted messages to help people heal. Some people that had some health issues, friends that were aware of it. So I broadcasted messages to ask for healing assistance. And honestly, in all the cases that I've doing this, the people that you know um, were in trouble or needed assistance, they really got better. And so again, it's hard to say if it had an impact or not, but so far my experience has been very positive.
Mhm.
uh, and so maybe also before I show another video here, I just want to demystify or to explain a bit the physics of it. So if you see on the screen, uh, you know obviously my large radio station will reach all the corners of the solar system because it's a powerful radio station. Will travel billions of miles in space. But even a small handheld radio, like we saw on the video earlier, the signal with a single watt of power is sufficient really to reach the moon and go far beyond. And people don't know that. The satellite, like the International Space Station, the ISS, for instance, when they pass over your head, right, they broadcast messages on telemetry and messages, and they even have a repeater for amateur radio operators. Actually, we can use the ISS as a repeater station, and the ISS will broadcast with milliwatts, fractions of watts of power, and we can still hear it very well on Earth, right? So again, the fractions of watts of power is sufficient for your message to go very, very, very far in space. So the physics is working. I mean, it's nothing unusual about this. There's nothing far-fetched. Technically, I've recently I reset up my satellite setup here to communicate with satellite, and I can hear satellites that are like 6,000 miles away with only 1 watt of power. They broadcast with 1 watt. They are 10,000 kilometers, 6,000 miles, and I can hear it very well. They are in space in medium Earth orbit, right? So again, it's the physics of it is just straightforward, right? There's nothing unusual about this. So I have another video. Maybe I can present here. It's a short compilation, maybe 5 minutes of various sightings and experiences I've had with this contact modality. So I'm just gonna play the video, and then we can go back to the slides. So let me. All right, and make sure that the sound is good, right? So if you don't hear the sound, please let me know. But the sound should be good. So here we go. The sound is good, Karen?
Yes, very good.
Okay, good.
Wow, that was spectacular.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity doing this contact work to to record a lot of my experiences, and this is a small fraction because obviously, we just can capture just small fraction of these kind of manifestations. But yeah, this was a little compilation. So maybe I can keep going here, the little story. So 2021,
Sure.
fast forward. I moved to Arizona near Sedona, about an hour south of Sedona. And it was a bit a turning point because that I reinstalled my antenna. I had a bit of different setup that we can see here on the screen. And let me just put full screen here. And and for the first time, I ended up setting up cameras on the back end of my antenna. We can see it on the screen. So various cameras, which I had not done before, believe it or not. And the reason is because when I do moon-bound communication, if I hook up any electronic equipment that radiate like Wi-Fi or anything, it's gonna bury the moon-bound signal, right? So I had not done this for that reason. So, but anyway, so for the first time, I set up cameras, and we see a bit to the left my radio station, and very quickly I realized when I was broadcasting messages again through space that there were a lot of manifestation taking place that I could now record with this camera system and have a few example here. So this was a transmission towards the moon, December 21st, 2021. That was a solstice, actually, day of the solstice, 2021. These two objects, very defined, very clear, appeared right in front of the antenna array that we can see here. I zoomed it. These are not bugs, obviously. There's a lot of structure and geometry to this. See another example here on triangular craft. I was doing a test actually on that one. I was broadcasting what I call the golden ratio frequency, the tone 161.8 hertz, which matched the golden ratio. And
Mhm.
and so during the broadcast, this triangular craft just appeared again right in front of the antenna array we can see here. Other manifestation. This one May 12, 2022. All kind of really manifestation. These two craft appeared May 6, 2022. I was broadcasting towards the moon. This little fleet of three ships. The one in the front was a bit more defined. This was June 14, 2022. I was broadcasting towards Vega. Same one here, June 2022. These three crafts. So I have literally more than many dozens and hundreds of videos and screenshots. And this one was really interesting. So so these four ships appeared during the transmission, and they had a very interesting shape, which reminds us of the Greek sign lambda, right? And lambda in science means wavelength. So it felt they were trying to communicate something about wavelengths or frequency, right? A wavelength equals a frequency. And then after that, my story really started to shift to go in a different direction because so during that period of fall 2021, early 2022, but late 2021, I was bumping always in this synchronistically to this number 144, which 144.1 is the frequency that I had been using to broadcast these messages since 2017. But on my way home from California to Arizona, I was working in remote in California at the time. On my way home, to get to my home, I was, saying this just before my exit 144. Even the mileage that we see here on the right side was matching 144. I was seeing this number everywhere. And the road leading up to my house, on the highway 89 north, and 89 is in the Fibonacci sequence, the number just before 144, right? 89 times one golden ratio equals 144. So I started. I realized, I said, there's something going on here. The universe is telling me something about this number 144. So I ended up googling that and found an old book from Bruce Cathy, who's one of the pioneers in geometric harmonics. who's done a lot of work on harmonic 144 and many other harmonics. So I bought that book and I started reading it, and that really got me started, because then I realized the importance of that harmonic. This is really one of the fundamental harmonic of creation, 144, and which just happened to be the frequency I had been broadcasting on since 2017, even without knowing that was a frequency that was an important frequency. So kind of synchronicity again, right, or coincidence or not, right? So and um, and then I started having these manifestations late 2021. We can see here in early 2022 this triangular craft that manifested on 3 occasions. We see December 5th was the first time on the left side of the antenna area here. December 25th, again, this triangular craft, which had a very strange shape to me, in the February 5th, 2022. And so I realized that I'm going to show it I have a slide actually here. Let me see. So I realized that this shape was actually very unique. And I took a screenshot of these craft and calculated the dimensions of this triangle and realized that this triangle was very special actually. So if we take any side, if we ratio or divide any side of this triangle by any other side of the same triangle, we always get the golden ratio or the golden ratio squared. It's like it was a golden ratio triangle. Very special. Using a software to do some modeling, we can see the software output at the bottom left here. I realized that by fine-tuning the model a bit, that the angle to the left here, the angle of this triangle was angle 4.32 degrees, and the angle to the right was 6.94, which matched the reciprocal exactly of harmonic 144. So amazingly, this triangle was containing the two frequency I was broadcasting on, 144 and 432 megahertz, and it was in a perfect golden ratio proportion. It was very profound thing mathematically. And so I had never seen this before. And for those who don't know the importance of the golden ratio, I mean, everything in nature, all fractality really is based on the golden ratio, right? The way even the way the hurricane propagates, and this golden ratio spiral, if you will, from the Nautilus shell to even the spiral arm of galaxies. It's the golden ratio is all the human proportions, the proportion of our bones and everything, the way that our body is structured is based on golden ratio. So this is a very, very important number. And the golden ratio is represented by this sign here. And the number is the ratio 1 to 1.618, as we can see here. If we look at that picture, even our arms, versus the hand is based on golden ratio proportions. And the rest of our body is all golden ratio proportion. Even the neurons in our brains are golden ratio proportion. So this golden ratio triangular craft, that's how I called it, the golden ratio triangular craft, was communicating very something special. And so I'm going to show, so what I ended up doing when I figured that out, I created a customized message with my, again, and I encoded it and broadcasted it with my radio station, asking this triangular craft to appear again, to manifest again. So I have a short video of it, if I can share it.
Sure.
So here we go.
Oh, you
Okay.
must have been so excited, to get that positive feedback from them.
Oh yeah, this was really amazing. Really, this was it's very touching. I mean, there's no word really to describe, the feeling. Uh,
Mhm.
and I realized after that, that the intelligence was clearly communicating these free harmonics,
Mhm.
of creation, through sightings, and I have other example I'm going to show in a second here. But so this is the I understood they were communicating this formula, essentially, that the product of these three harmonics of creation, harmonic 144, Lagrangian ratio, and harmonic 432, the product of these harmonics gives one, right? The equivalent to source or singularity. So that's what I understood they were communicating. And I started really at the time having a lot of inspiration. I didn't know where it was coming from, but a lot of information was coming through. And then I realized that these harmonics of creation actually are encoded all over the world in ancient sacred sites. And we see the example here that these harmonics of creations are encoded in the very dimension of the Great Pyramid of Giza. I'm not going to go through all the mathematics here, but you can see, for instance, the hypotenuse here is equivalent to harmonic 432 times harmonic 432 squared, right? Even the slope angle of the Great Pyramid is equivalent to 432 times the square root of harmonic 144. The height, the base, I mean, even the number of stones is a function of harmonic 144 times one golden ratio. It's just remarkable, right? Everything is connected to these harmonics of creation. And even the golden ratio itself has a representation in terms of these harmonics, as I can show here. So this is what really put me on the track of digging deeper, and I realized that everything, once we use the proper units, um,
Mhm.
and the proper geometric harmonics, everything in the universe boils down to these three harmonics. And in fact, if we think about it, right, the 432 is equal to 3 times harmonic 144. So, and even as I showed, the golden ratio itself as a representation of these in terms of these harmonics. So really, there's one common denominator in the holographic universe we live in, and this is this fundamental harmonic of light 144. Everything can be boiled down to this, that spark of creation, of this from source, if you will. Some could call it the Big Bang, right? This spark of energy that created everything out of nowhere. But it's
Mhm.
and I realized, and I started looking at, for instance, distance of planets. My phone is if we're looking at the distance of planets in our solar system, they're all golden ratio proportion. Like Venus is equivalent to 36 golden ratio. Distance, on the average distance, the Earth 50 golden ratio from the Sun, the Mars, Jupiter, and so on. Everything is based on that. And to use these geometric harmonics, it's really to use units of distance and times that are compatible with geometry. Everything in our universe is based on geometry. So by using the nautical miles, which is compatible with geometry, and geometric time, we just need to apply a correction factor to our current time. We end up with these geometric harmonics, and we realize that everything is tuned to this. So even the Schumann resonance, for instance, the 7.83 hertz that everybody knows about, once we convert that
Mhm.
frequency into a geometric harmonic frequency, or using geometric time, we get something that's equivalent to the reciprocal of harmonic 144 again at 99.97% accuracy, right? Even the Schumann resonance, which is connected to our brainwave, even the speed of galaxies and velocity of star clusters and galaxies, as we can see here, they are expressed in millions of in nautical miles per geometric seconds. I'm sorry. So we see in blue here or in red the velocity of, instead, our own Milky Way travels at 287.3 nautical miles per geometric second. So that's equivalent to 2 times harmonic 144 at 99.8%. The Andromeda galaxy is exactly 144.1 nautical miles per geometric second. The Pleiades cluster, 2 times harmonic 144. Even though biology, DNA, everything is based on that. The way the
Mm-hmm.
cells divides is divides based on golden ratio proportions. If we take a cross section of our own DNA, for instance, we realize that inside our DNA, it's based on a dodecagon, a decagon. I'm sorry, and a decagon has obviously 10 sides, and each of these sides has an angle of 144 degrees. In the way that the DNA is divided, we can see here the golden ratio proportion is all over the place again. So even the flower of life that everybody knows about, and this is credit to Jane 108 here, who discovered that a few years ago. If you take the flower of life and you count the number of petals, there are 90 petals in the flower of life, and there are 54 voids, like this kind of negative triangle. If you add
Yeah.
90 plus 54, they add up to 144. So there are 144 components in the fabric of creation. Everything boils down to
Wow.
this, and so why is it important? So, well, even the Earth grid, and I'm not going to go through that today. It's a big chapter in itself, but the Earth grid itself, the distance between the energy node on the Earth grid and the ley lines are proportioned based on harmonic 144, right, and harmonic 432. So it's all connected to this. And so people may ask, okay, why is it important? So why? Well, it's important because first, it's very clear that the intelligence have communicated this information through manifestations, through sightings, my own sightings for the golden ratio triangular craft, and also through ancient sacred sites all over the world. The Great Pyramid of Giza, the Giza complex, is a good example of that. And uh, it's important because once we better understand how the universe really truly works, then we can develop healing technologies, extract free energies from the earth, better understand telepathy, develop anti-gravity technology, space travel, and connect to the stars. Being able to finally travel back to the stars and connect directly with our cosmic family that's out there. So that's why it's important, and that's why that information has been communicated throughout the ages, really, in many different ways. And it became very obvious to me, and from my work, it became obvious that there's an entire science behind this. There's a very robust new science that just asked to be rediscovered, because very clearly this knowledge existed in the past, because it's the Great Pyramid, for instance, is based on that, right? These were all
Mm-hmm.
technologies that were used thousands of years ago. And this knowledge, for some reason, has been forgotten, has been suppressed, right? And now it's time for humanity to rediscover the science of universe, really how things really works. Next to my own
Mm-hmm.
sightings and experience, and next to ancient sacred site, I've had the opportunity to look at manifestations from other experiencers. I'm going to give an example here, and Linda gave me permission to use a footage. So back in November 2022, Linda, she's a good friend of mine. She's a very connected person with her own cosmic family. She's an experiencer. I've had the opportunity to do C5 with her and other people. We had a small group that we still have, to do this contact work. And Linda had extraordinary experiences, and she shared footage that she recorded from back of 2016. And back in 2016, she had requested to her cosmic family to produce a manifestation in a form of a V-shape manifestation. And to make a long story short, on a given night, she was instructed to go in her backyard, to use her night vision camera. I have the exact same camera here, so I recognize the video. I'm going to show the video in a second here, and she was instructed essentially at the specific time to position the camera in a direction and press record, right? And then that's what she did. So then I'm going to present here the video of that experience. That what happened immediately when she started recording, because this connects to the what I'm talking about here. So this is what happened when she started recording.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow,
that's
that was
quite
incredible.
it's quite an incredible sighting and an experience. So Linda was very generous enough to share this experience. Obviously, it's a very personal thing, right? And
Mhm.
actually, this footage was part of a documentary that was released, I think, 2 3 years ago. So, yeah, it's an amazing experience. So back in 2022 November, Linda asked me to look at this footage and see if I could decode anything in there, right? Because she had seen my work and I was interested in these harmonics and the technical work that I had done in the field. And so she asked me to analyze. So I took different screenshots of different portion of that footage. And what we see here on the screen is a screenshot of the V shape. And I use a tool online to calculate the angle of that V shape. And she had requested specifically that V shape, right? And I realized amazingly that the angle that these craft manifest when I draw a line, there's a nice baseline here, and I go right in between these two craft. That angle is exactly harmonic 144 or angle 144.
Wow.
And we see here when the craft, it just expands or the formation expands and contracts again, right? So I took a screenshot to compare both configuration, if you will, and I measured and ratio the relative length. And when we ratio that configuration versus the other one, we get exactly the golden ratio squared. So this golden ratio is coming back again. And finally, at the end of the footage, right, the craft they organize themselves in a tetrahedron structure with an inscribed sphere inside. And when we calculate the harmonic corresponding to this, right, there are four angles, 140 degrees, that adds up to 720 degrees, and there are 60 minutes of arc per degree. So we end up with harmonic 432. That's what this configuration reveals in terms of harmonic. So amazingly, this V-shaped sighting, contained again the very same harmonics of creation. For the angle, contained the harmonic 144. For the contraction and expansion of that um, configuration, we get the golden ratio is revealed and harmonic 432. So it was again the same harmonics that are coming back again. And to me, that was a very powerful confirmation, because this
Mhm.
mathematical formula that I had developed months prior, this was an additional confirmation that was really, again, clearly the intelligence was communicating this information. And without going too much in details, because that will take probably 3 4 more hours, but I ended up
Yeah.
researching and realized that really everything in our holographic universe, from the quantum space, the Planck length, which is the smallest oscillation of energy that exists at the quantum space, to the
Yep.
creation of that Planck sphere energy, to the creation of the material world we live in, all the subatomic particles, everything can be, even from gravity density, everything can be boiled down to the division of the one, right? Division of the source creation, if you will, over this fundamental harmonic of light 144, which is represented by the letter C here. The letter C you see in these equations represents harmonic 144. Then everything can be boiled down to this very accurately. It's all mathematical. It's beautiful, and it's really, really simple in many ways. It's remarkably simple. So yeah, so this was essentially the result of my work. And again, I'm not going to go through that in details, but everything can be boiled down to this. And let's see here, and I've broadcasted. So one thing I'm doing nowadays is to broadcast this slides and this information. Every time I find new information or discover something, I create a slides like you saw on the screen that I presented today, and I broadcast it back to the universe. And very often when I do that, there are manifestations taking place, and I see that as a bit of thumbs up or kind of
Mm-hmm.
a blink, like a wink to say, yeah, just a reply back from the intelligence to keep.
Confirmation.
That's right, keep the work doing. And
Mm-hmm.
in this instance, for instance, and all these videos are available on my YouTube channel. Anyone can go there. It's all free, obviously. You can see these videos. In this video, you'll see during the 25-minute broadcast, there were 16 manifestations taking place right in front of the antenna array. And I put with little dots here where these flashes, literally these flashes of light, happened during the transmission. And one of them, the one in blue, was stationary, stays at the same location. And 9 times during the broadcast, this ship just kept flashing in my direction. So a lot of remarkable experiences and manifestation taking place. And this was here one of my latest discovery that I recently posted, which shows that again really the mechanism of creation, the energy and the mechanisms of the universal creations are all encoded in ancient sacred site around the world. And specifically in this case, I demonstrated that the geographical location of the Great Pyramid of Giza, or the Giza pyramids in general, encodes these mechanisms of creation at a very, very high degree of accuracy. I mean, we're talking in the 99.99998% in one case, 99.96% in the other case. It's all very accurate. So, it's beyond luck or chance, right? I mean, you get to this level of accuracy, it's not chance anymore, right? It's clearly the intelligence have encoded this information long time ago for us to rediscover.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the time is now to rediscover this science of universe and use this new knowledge to develop technologies to free humanity from its current dependencies and limitations that we're having now. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
the time now, right? And so this ends up my
Wonderful.
slideshow that I had tonight.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh, that was so interesting, Jimmy. Thank you so much. Now, I have one question. I've been doing a lot of research on simulation theory, and it seems to me that all of this physics that you've discovered is basically the rules or the programming for the holographic universe that we live in. And what, if I hear you correctly, now that we know that everything follows this template, then we can take it to so that we can become, I guess, what I would call free beings again, where we can take our place in the universal social network, but we can also develop things like free energy, healing techniques, communication to other systems. So, I mean, this just basically blows the lid off of what I'm going to call the false construct that we've all been living in, where we've been programmed to think things in, Newtonian physics and limitation and scarcity. And we can now become free beings. This is like so huge. I don't know, would you agree with what I just said? I think that's what you're telling us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, you're spot on. I mean, that's exactly right. These are the blueprints of creation, how this holographic universe we live in operates, right? These are the rules. It's very simple in a sense. It's very elegant, right? And that's what we will expect from source creation, to be simple, elegant, to be efficient, right? For the golden ratio is an
Mm-hmm.
example of it. So it's all the beauty is in the simplicity of it. I mean, mathematically, I can say that it's very simple. All this you saw, how everything works in the matter and subatomic particles, all boils down to very simple set of formulas. You don't need this 100 pages of complex mathematical formulas or anything like that. It's super simple, and that's the beauty of it. And as you said, from there we can use this knowledge to forgotten knowledge. Clearly, this has been forgotten that we are remembering, and the intelligence is helping us remembering. And I might add, as crazy as it may sound, is that many of these we know that time doesn't exist, right? And so
Mhm.
these non-human intelligences may be future version of ourselves also that are sending back this information to remember,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
to expand our consciousness. So there's a lot that goes into this that's quite mind-blowing. But yeah, I mean, this is what you said is exactly right, and I think that's why they are communicating this information. They are insisting on it. It's just that we were not seeing it, right? And but when we see it, I
Mhm.
shared a few slides. It's very obvious. When we look at it, it's very obvious. It's obviously encoded in the Great Pyramid of Giza, for instance. It's encoded in so many places. Even the Earth grid, the way it's set up, is set up that way as well. It's all absolutely all based on that. And
Perfect.
once we understand that, it's I think the keys to our freedom in many ways. And this knowledge has been suppressed, forgotten, and now it's time to put it back on the world map.
I follow you on Facebook, and oh, every time you come up with new applications of the same thing, showing how it works in all aspects of our reality, it just blows my mind time after time after time. It's just amazing. And it's interesting. There's a lot of people who talk about, ET contact and seeing, UAPs or UFOs, but they don't really lead to a positive conclusion. Like, why is it happening? You seem to be the first
Mm.
person who's put it all together and actually understood the message or the purpose in them, um, revealing themselves to us. And then this incredible future that we all have. I think people got to stop worrying about what divides us and start coming together
Mm.
with what unites us. And this absolutely unites us, regardless of where we come from or what we look like or how much money we have. This is something universal. It's very exciting. I have to congratulate you. It's just so huge. And I'm so pleased that you could come on the show today and share this with my audience. For those people that are listening to this on an audio platform, please do come over to Rumble or YouTube or X and watch the visual. It will blow you away. And of course, everybody, please go and check out the documentary. It will blow your mind. Wow. So, Jimmy, before we say goodbye, do you have anything else you want to tell us or share with us? It's just been such an honor to have you on the show.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and maybe just to echo a bit what you were saying earlier, if we look at this universal formula that I presented, right, we saw that it was equal to 1 is the product of harmonic 144, golden ratio 1432, but all this equal to 1, right? It's we're all one, right? We're all essentially a division of that one, division of the one. We're all just different perspective of it from source. And when we talk about unity and being united, because that's exactly right. The Schrödinger, which is the father of quantum physics, Erwin Schrödinger, who invented quantum physics. Um, there's a say or a phrase that he said is that the total sum of the minds in the universe is equal to 1, right? And so we're all part of the same thing, right? And we need to unite and just realize we're just different perspective from source, which kind of using us as different pairs of eyes, if you will, to have this different perspective on this reality. And yeah, we just need to come together and realize that we're not alone. Obviously, it's time for humanity to get out of our little shell. We've been put in this little box for too long, which been
Mm-hmm.
created artificially, right? It's always been a
Yeah.
creation. And I can tell you I mean, I'm a chemist, I'm a scientist, so I can tell you that science, the mainstream science, has been completely, it seems like engineered to put us on the wrong track, right? To look in the wrong direction.
Yep. I agree.
Purposely, this knowledge has been there for a long, long time, and it's very obvious to me that it was purposely hidden, and it's time to rediscover it. And clearly, the intelligence is putting that right in our face, just waiting for us to awaken to that reality, right, to that information. And yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, I think the future is very bright for humanity, and we just need to come together. And one thing, a message before we end is I want to say that everything you saw tonight is not unique to me or unique to other experiencers, and it's available to anyone. Everyone has access to this, to making contact and develop a relationship with the intelligences that are out there that are watching us. I have ton of evidence that we're being watched all the time. I mean, when I broadcast my messages, I have so many manifestations taking place, right? So we're not alone, right? And so whatever the modality is, whether you use radio or not, doesn't matter. It's just a technological aid, but just go do it, right? I encourage the folks to do it, and take the proper precautions, right? Invite only friendly beings and friendly energies, and so on. Stay in a good state of mind. But it's going to change your life, and it's been life changing for me, and it's still ongoing as we speak.
So what's next for you, Jimmy? What's next? Where can you go from here? This is like the top. Where are you going to go from here?
Well, the
You
next,
have
I mean, right
projects
now,
in
to be
mind?
honest, well, there's a book that's in the work right now. I'm working with a
Oh,
couple of
good.
collaborators to get some of my story out, and also the mathematical information. And there's a lot there. Working with a couple of great, fantastic people. And to be honest, there's still, I mean, the information is still, the inspiration is still coming through every day. It's just a matter of having the free time and the calm mind to get it out on paper, right? But there's still a lot of information coming through, and whether it's me remembering what maybe I've already known in my past lives, or information being sent my way, it doesn't really matter to me. I just share everything that comes my way. I try to create visual and slide and share videos the best I can, and to share with the community, and I will keep doing it for as long as this story is gonna keep going.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Wow. And do you want to just tell people, for those listening on audio, where they can reach you?
Yeah, sure. I do have a YouTube channel called Human Initiated Contact. So if you go on YouTube, type Human Initiated Contact, you should end up on my channel. It's all free. All the videos, interviews I make, I post them all there. And also I mean, you can reach me on Facebook under my name, right? You can just send a friend invite. And so these are the two main way you can reach me right now. And I'm just by myself, so I don't have a lot of time to be on all platforms. But I'll try to. If you send questions, I'll try to answer, or certainly get back to anyone who wants to communicate with me.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show, making the time for me and for my audience. This has been just fantastic. And I'm going to actually repost it again tomorrow on YouTube, because sometimes YouTube doesn't seem to circulate the live streams, and I want to put it on in more permanent um, as a replay too. So that's coming up tomorrow. I want to thank you so much for your time and for all your discoveries and everything you've done for humankind, because I get the ramifications of this are huge. I mean, this is our freedom, our personal and collective freedom. And it's just so, so important. Thank you so much for joining us. And I wish you all the best.
It was a pleasure, Karen. Well, thank you again for inviting me. It's always to me an opportunity to share the message and share the information. That is, to me, it's all about the information. And so, again, thank you so much for your time, your kindness. I really appreciated it, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, thank you again. So I just want to say goodbye to all the listeners and the viewers, and we'll see you next week on the Quantum Guide Show. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.